Reddit, what's the most ultimate petty revenge you've seen or been a part of? Knew a crazy kid in elementary. Kid jumped across the table and tried to choke me out. I got suspended BC. I instigated it by saying he was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs when that's the only thing that kid ever talked about, and was wearing a Cocoa Puffs shirt that day. Senior year of high school, kid was in my design class. Needed to get a C or better on the final. Over the year I found out the kid was taking my work off my shared drive. High school it was dumb and each kid's folder was public, and copying it. For the final I purposely fucked up the drawing in my folder, but the kid didn't double check it. He turned it in and failed and had to go back and be a super senior. TLDR. Kid choked me. Waited 10 years made them fail high school. Kid jumped across the table and tried to choke me out. I got suspended. I'm sorry. What? Who made that rule? Zero tolerance policy. Happened in my high school as well. One guy sucker punched another guy and they both got suspended. Zero tolerance also has the fun effect of actually encouraging people to fight back. Since the punishment for punching and being punched is the same, you might as well make the fight worse by attacking back. Zero tolerance for violence rules in most schools mean that if there's a fight, anyone involved in it, even if they're a victim, gets suspended. Further proof that the educational system is being run by idiots. You young'uns here might not believe it, but back in the early 90s, supermarket cashiers had to type every price in by hand. I was at a Vons in San Diego, walking toward the only open check stand with a single bottle of soda in my hand. Suddenly this hoity-toity lady with a cart stacked to the top flew out of one of the aisles like a freight train and cut me off. "I'm in a hurry," she said, then looked away like she was annoyed that I'd been born. I looked at the cashier. He rolled his eyes and got to work. 5 minutes later she's walking out the door and it's my turn. "You're good," says the cashier. "I put your soda on her tag." Damn, that felt good. Personally, one of the most satisfying here. As a cashier this warms my heart. Edit. Former cashier. I think this is how fist bumps got invented. Can confirm. This moment was so powerful that when the fist bump was performed it radiated both forward and backward through time. Fist bumps perceived to have occurred prior to this event were actually a result of the effect preceding the cause. There was this kid, about 15, who cut in line in front of me at the supermarket. When he wasn't watching I broke his chocolate bar while still inside the wrapper. Later I saw him cycling by, opening his bar, and half of it fell out. He got pissy and I chuckled. Now this is petty, much better than the guy shoving his dad's toothbrush his ass. Love it. Wait, what? When me and my ex-fiance were having a bunch of arguments after we broke up, I got tired of her constantly texting me about nonsense, so I called insert phone carrier to have them cut off service to her phone that I paid for in the middle of an argument. Brilliant. You never reinstated it, right? Nope. Told her to get her other man to pay for it if she wanted it back. I don't find that petty, I find it sensible. She could ring up a massive bill and you would be liable. Now I was paying for unlimited everything and she wasn't approved for third party purchases, so are you single then? Sorry, I've already upgraded. This girl in 5th grade used to copy off my tests every single time. One day I noticed her pencil had no eraser, so I wrote in all the wrong answers, then started to erase them all. When she was done, the look on her face was absolutely priceless. I got 100%. She got 0%. You Amanda. My roommate in college was a selfish. Now I have known him since preschool and we are still friends, but he is one of those people you cannot live with. He attended the local tech school that is supposed to be a pipeline into the main school that third roommate and I attended. However, he barely went to class and sat around getting high and playing Xbox. My Xbox specifically, which is where this story begins. He used to have friends over all the time and mostly they'd get baked and play Xbox in the living room. Now I don't like having a TV in my bedroom, so I set up my flat screen and Xbox in the living room. I'd like to note that both he and third roommate had Xboxes as well, but they had this set up in their respective rooms. When the latest, at the time, Call of Duty came out, we would spend hours playing together in a big squad. That is until third roommate's Xbox got the red ring of death. Shortly after, my Xbox got the red ring of death. Well, we think it's all good because Decrumat has the next gen's Xbox 360 that wasn't prone to the same issue. We'll just move his Xbox out to the living room so we can keep playing COD Zombies. The response third roommate and I got was, and I quote, "Nah, I don't want people playing it all the time because it will probably break. Plus what if you and third roommate are playing it and I want to play by myself?" We were livid. How could he spend all that time using my stuff and not extend the same courtesy? At the time, I had supplied the router for the internet in the house, which meant I alone had the admin password. I also found out you can block specific MAC addresses. Well, guess who couldn't connect as Barkslive when he wanted to play online? I would turn it on and off sporadically over the next few weeks. I found out he spent like 4 hours calling both Time Warner and Microsoft trying to get the issue resolved. Eventually he started to put 2 and 2 together about when it would go out and come back. You'd think I would stop, but I adapted. I found out that you could open a port to remotely access your router from the internet. At the time I had a BlackBerry, I know, which could load the HTML router config page. Thus, I started turning off his access when I was gone. I was even away one weekend at our rival school and shut him down from 3 hours away. To this day he still doesn't know it was me. I still go over to his house and hang out on the weekends. Dude, I know they taught us sharing in preschool. Edit, to those saying I was the situation. I think you're confused that this is some sort of revenge/friendship ending act when really it was me elaborately pranking a friend of 20+ years. Yes, he was in the sense that he was still immature in a lot of ways because he had never lived on his own. He never cleaned, did his part in the household, etc. He's cool now that life smacked him around a bit. He just needed to grow up at the time. My real gripe was not that I couldn't use his sparks, it was that we no longer would sit down as 3 friends, crack some beers, and laugh having fun trying to beat each other's high round score in Zombies. It was like us being social together stopped because he wanted to play MW2 by himself and shut us out. Depending on the router, you can throttle bandwidth. You should have limited him to just unplayable speeds, but he could still connect to everything. I'd rather have no internet than slow internet. It was one of those blue and black Linksys routers that everyone had back in the day. I wasn't as tech savvy then or else I would have tried something like that. Watching him get lag killed over and over until he rage quit would have been poetic justice. If you'd done that, you could suggest that moving it to the living room would give better reception or something, and unthrottle it when he tried it. Separates the petty from the ingenious. I occasionally deliver pizza as a part-time job. There is a customer that tends to pay with a big bag of change. I don't mean a bag full of quarters, I mean a bag full of dimes, nickels, and pennies. Since his meal typically costs about $20, the bag usually weighs several pounds. It is a total pain to count out all of the change, so typically drivers will just assume that he has the correct amount and leave. Usually, he has just enough or maybe a few cents over. I don't think it is an innocent thing either, as he usually gives the bag of change with a shit-eating grin. It is such a pain that most of the drivers know his address by heart and avoid going to his house if at all possible. I was having a bad night and by the luck of the draw got this dude's house. I remembered reading a post on r/Petty Revenge involving someone paying in a checkout line with a bag of change, and I knew I could use a similar method to take my frustration out on this guy in the pettiest way possible. I pulled up to his house and left the pizza in the car. I rang the doorbell, and when he answered I saw the large bag of change in his hand that I knew would be there. He asked where his pizza was, and I said new policy, sir. Gotta count it out before we can give out the pizza. So I sat down on his doorstep and started to count out all of the change. At one point, I even asked if he could turn on his pork light because I was having a hard time seeing. He did end up sitting there while I counted out the entire bag of change, even though it took about 10 minutes. He ended up being about $1 over, so I started picking up pennies to give him his change back when he said that I could keep the rest as a tip. When I gave him his pizza, he sheepishly told me sorry and then shut the door. The whole situation was incredibly awkward, and to my knowledge he hasn't ordered pizza from us in a while. Oh well. I thought you'd break the pizza into itty bitty pieces, put them in a bag, and give it to him. but it looks like you're a better person than I am. I thought he'd grab the bag of coins and beat the man with it, but it looks like you're a better person than I am. Especially if the dude normally smiled while handing over the coins. Bitch, how do these coins feel? I used to deliver pizza for Domino's. It was my last shift and there was this house that was always rude. I called to ask what the house looked like and they said I gave you the address and hung up, never tipped, etc. I got to their house and they gave me a check for 1 cent less than what the total was. I said I'm going to need the extra penny. They grumbled off and took their time hoping I would give up, but I just sat there holding the pizza. They finally came back all pissed off and gave me the penny. Note that they had no intention of tipping. They gave me the penny and I chucked it out into the street and left. They saw me do it. It was satisfying. Holy shit, imagine their faces. Yeah, they probably went to get it back. I delivery drive and we have this problem house these two girls live at that always try and underpay and play it off by accident. We have been delivering to them for well over a year. Sad lol. Anyway, one of the drivers had enough of their bullshit and said to them, you know, you're almost $1 off, but I can tell you need it, so I'll let it slide. They definitely were pissed, but still order from us quite a bit. I would have eaten a slice of their pizza and said you didn't pay for this piece.